Welcome to Intentionally Unintelligent.
Everybody, welcome back to episode 7 of Intentionally Unintelligent, Guiding Hands. Today we have my uncle Steven Masseria. Steven's here to talk about his son, and we're really excited to have him here today. You know, it's a very special family episode, and we've been looking forward to it for months. So, Uncle Steve, thank you so much for coming by. We appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah, man. I think it is important. We were speaking before off camera about your goals for the things that you have coming up, but I think it's extremely important for us to talk about what happened to Thomas, why we are sitting here today, the background of the story, if you're comfortable talking about that.
The only thing I could say is that he went to doctors for help. They ended up poisoning him, and that being that he was poisoned, he ended up trying street drugs, what most people do when they get hooked on opioids. And it was laced with fentanyl, and it killed Thomas and 13 other kids in the same week. And that's why I'm here.
Yeah. It was a huge epidemic during
Correct.
Thomas's generation.
And my family's a victim, you know, I'm a victim of that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. You know, I know that me personally, I felt Thomas present through my own experiences in a very weird way. I wouldn't consider myself too spiritual nowadays. However, I'll share a story before anything. I was sitting in my bedroom on Fingerboard Road, and that house for some reason has a very strong spiritual connection, I feel, because our family's been in and out of that house forever.
Yes. Thomas lived there.
He did. And I was sitting in the room where Aunt Sissy had passed away, upstairs on the 3rd floor. And I always had Thomas's prayer card and a picture of Thomas holding me as a baby on my Christmas tree. I have it every year. And my dog, I woke up around like 4 a.m. It was still very dark out. And there was this radiant light that came in the room. No bullshit. And my dog was locked on to the picture of Thomas. Now, my dog usually would bark at something that was alarming, but he was just staring at it. So I said, Zeus, what are you looking at? Like, what is that? And his eyes were just deadlocked on Thomas's picture. It was freaky. And it almost felt, I felt comfortable in that moment, you know? And that's like an experience that I've had because me and Thomas did have a very close relationship. When I was very sick, he showed up at the hospital for me. Every single holiday, we would always gravitate towards each other. So in a very weird way, I do feel him present, you know, your boy.
He always had a big heart. Always, everybody that knew him, he was always trying to help.
Yeah.
He never tried to hurt you, always tried to help you. And what happened to me is that I didn't give myself no time to grieve Thomas.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where it hit me, and it wasn't a good thing.
Yeah.
Kind of probably the worst thing for a person to feel. And then I've kept feeling like somebody was following me for a while. And then somehow Thomas got me into this Magic Moon Sisters, which they had a medium in there. And I made myself an appointment. And from that first day, and that guy spoke to me, changed my life in a way that is almost unexplainable.
Yeah.
But it is explainable.
And I've known you my whole life, and I've noticed a spiritual change in you. You
Absolutely.
You have this new aura to you that I can't really explain, and I know that we have a goal here, and well, you have a goal here to kind of bring parents together who are going through something similar. Maybe stopping something bad before it happens, or maybe, you know, like bring me through exactly what you would like to do.
That would be a very important thing to help these kids. See, what I think today, what the biggest problem is that these kids get hooked on something, but they have no, you know, there's nothing for them. They have no goals. They wake up every day. There's nothing out there for them.
Yeah.
We take things to help people. These kids need a purpose. If you don't have a purpose, life is very tough.
Yeah.
We all go through the same things, but if you could give somebody a purpose, so that's what I would like to help the kids, the parents, because my son tells me that parents like you that aren't going to do what you're doing. But maybe by you talking, that some parents will see that you did it, and it kind of say it. And the only way I could say it saved my life. And there's no other way to say it. And then just too many things happen along the way.
Such maybe what are some examples?
Well, for one example is that I was I was seeing lights all the time.
Mm.
I thought I was losing my mind. I have a porch in the back of my house, and one night I was on the porch, and this white light hit me in the chest. I'm not going to lie, I was smoking a little pot, and I looked at the pot, and I said to myself, I got to stop smoking. But I also said, whoever this is, please leave me alone. I have enough on my plate. I don't need nothing else. I don't understand what's going on with the lights.
Yeah.
So when I went to the medium, and the first thing he says to me is that Thomas is laughing. I said, oh, really? This is what you're going to tell me? He said, he wants you to know he got you. It was him with the lights. So that freaked me out. Like, I didn't tell nobody. What am I going to tell people? I'm seeing lights. The next thing I'm going to say, oh, he finally went crazy. He's not normal no more.
Yeah.
But people would love that, but that's not what happened. I mean, Thomas, I was telling people for 6 months that somebody's following me. And it was Thomas luring me in to get to the medium and speak with him. I believe that full-heartedly.
There's so many people that have experiences that are unexplainable, and it's almost like the non-believers always say it's your brain chemistry messing with you. But however, some of them are genuinely unexplainable. To actually have such a close connection with some people, I personally had it in my life a few times where I don't even speak about it. That situation with Thomas, for example, I mean, like, what are the chances of those things happening? And then you have to ask yourself, and it almost gives you this profound faith in something. And I feel like if the general public has more faith in a God or an afterlife, that should be a good thing, right? I mean,
it was a good thing.
And I don't know.
But look what the Catholic Church did to that good thing.
Yeah.
They destroyed lives, families. This is the problem. It's not that they don't believe in God. They don't want to go to a Catholic church and believe in God. Look what they did to their families and their children and our friends. I have a friend of mine that went through that with the church.
Yeah.
They abused his child. You want to go to church now? You don't want to go to church. But what I try to tell people and everything in his life, God didn't take Thomas from me. He was murdered by human beings. We are our own worst enemy. Money is the biggest problem. These doctors and pharmacists needed to make prescriptions that doctors don't even know existed. If you ask a doctor that does open heart surgery and cracks somebody's ribs open, they don't give them 25 milligrams of oxycodone. They give them maybe 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
They had Thomas on 25 milligrams of that stuff. That doctor, instead of helping him, kept giving it to him, giving it to him, giving it to him until he was addicted. And then they turned around and wouldn't give him any more prescriptions until he paid for it. So when you can't pay for it no more, what do?
Heroin.
Correct. And it was the first time they told me, the two detectives and, the other people told me Thomas never did this before. He has no marks on his body. Unfortunately, it was the first time he did it, and the results are what happened to him. Yeah. So that was very hard for me.
The thing about Thomas is that's not how his legacy ended. His unfortunate, the way he passed on, but his character and the way he operated and the person that he was still lives within us today. I remember Thomas and my sister. I'm sure you remember, the great things that Thomas did, his amazing presence in the family, right? I mean, he was just an amazing dude, and everybody that's hooked on these things, they're in this trap of addiction and they can't get out of it. And I think
most of it's not their fault. It should have never been there.
No, it's big pharma and it's intentional.
Money.
And it's money, just like
everything comes down to greed. They don't care about me and you. If they can make $100 million and sacrifice you, you're gone. That's what this world's coming down to.
Yeah.
There are still people that look out for each other, but not as many as should. There's good people out there because I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I will take my time. You need my help, find me, reach out to me. I'll try to do anything I can for you.
Yeah, you've always been.
And my real purpose is to try to start something in honor of my son and other people that lives were sacrificed for no reason, and try to help people and just guide them, give them a purpose. I had an idea, like every time I watch that Shark Tank, right?
Yeah.
All they're looking for is places to manufacture labels and packing and all this stuff. I thought if I could get people like that to help me open up a warehouse, right, that does all that, nonprofit, and get these kids off the street and give them a job. And at lunchtime, have somebody in there that they could talk to. So every time you give them lunch, you sit down with 8 or 10 people working in that warehouse, and you just talk about it every day. You give them a purpose. You need a purpose. You can't go through life without a purpose.
No,
it's not healthy.
You got to do something. You have to do something.
But there's nothing out there. I tried. I went to the city. I went to the government. I went to everybody. They're not helping me.
No.
You know what they told me? You got to help yourself. And then that's when I realized that if you don't do it yourself, ain't nothing going to happen.
You have to invest in yourself if you're going to start something like this. People have to buy into you. People have to buy into your story, have to buy into Thomas's story. And it's an extremely relatable story, and it seems like all of them go like this, right? I mean, this is from start to finish, so I feel like it's a smart thing you're doing for a community of people to get together.
Well, how about this? How about that after I went to the medium, Thomas still knows my father's the most stubborn guy in the world. He found my brother Rudy's wife in Long Island at a party. She was sitting at a table with 25 women. This woman that was sitting across from her is not a medium, but she has the ability to contact.
Yeah.
Thomas was in her head to give Ellen a message to give to me, and part of the message was, my father's stubborn. You have to tell him. And told her the same things that they told me to confirm it. And that blew my mind. Like, and I thought this was on Long Island, right? So I'm thinking the girl lives in Long Island. So Thomas found this person in Long Island that knew was going to be there, but it wasn't that at all. When I finally reached out, this woman lives in New Jersey.
Yeah.
150 miles away from my sister-in-law. But Thomas picked her because he knew that she was going to be with her. And she said to her, no, you're going to listen to me because this spirit won't leave me alone. You need to tell his father.
Yeah.
So to me, that's amazing. How does that happen? How does Thomas show up 100 miles from here? This woman didn't know me. She never met Thomas, but yet she knew.
Have you felt a close connection with anybody else who has passed on from the Masseria family, you think? Because we've had...
my mother, my father, they all come. Maddie comes. I'm going to scare you. One of the mediums I went to said, do you understand what's happening? I said, no. He says, you don't know there's 30 spirits here for you? 30. Not one person, not two people. And everybody they named, I knew who it was. Remember Uncle Dennis's step-father-in-law, Gene?
Yeah.
He showed up. You know how they what they do is they put Gene, and they put taxi cab driver. So I knew exactly who it was. Dennis is the only guy that drove a cab for 30 years. So the Gene was him. Now he's there. My friend's father-in-law is there. There's a whole bunch of different people. My mother, my brother, my father, Sissy. Just crazy. Your grandfather.
Dennis Dalton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He told, when Jamie Lynn went for a reading, he told Jamie Lynn, tell your father that I'm in the garage with those 2 things that were mine. And I had 2 little boxes of all little screws and nuts and things, magnets that your grandmother had given me that was his. And he accommodated that, saying he was in my garage. Now, how does this medium know that this came from him and it's in my garage and they're telling my daughter this? So there's something real about this. It's not here to hurt. And Thomas tells me that there's, I'm going to say 100,000, but there's probably way more than that, of parents that lost their children.
Oh, for sure. Probably more.
Don't have, or never thought about trying to get a little piece like I did.
How many people in the United States die? Like, what's the second differential between drug overdoses in the United States of people who pass away? I'm gonna take a guess. It's probably every 3 minutes somebody passes away from a drug overdose in the United States. 5 minutes? Isn't that sick? That's every 5 minutes.
Disgrace.
As we sat here for about 20 minutes. 4 people we lost.
Correct.
You know,
and the government knows it.
They do.
And the pharmaceutical companies know it.
I just want to know what.
Let me ask you a question. If you got something wrong with you, right,
Yeah.
and you got to deal with it, do you listen to what they tell you? Oh, we got a medicine for you. It fixes this, but makes 10 other things
Not
go
anymore.
wrong.
I don't.
Why would you take that?
Yeah, I don't.
So how does it? I want to know how the government puts this stuff out there. If you say it fixes one thing, but it causes 10 other things.
There's an
How
app.
did you approve that?
I don't know. There's an app called Yuka, and then you could scan the back of certain products. And I think 75% of products in the United States that are non-organic give you cancer. There's Red 40 in it. There's all these types of crazy shit. Scan it. It's not even the drugs and fentanyl, obviously, that's elevated, but just like little tiny chemicals that they're putting in our foods that are killing people, which is insane.
Absolutely. Everything they put in your system today.
Yeah, so CJ, you were correct. As far as I'm seeing, about every 5 minutes, somebody passes away from a drug overdose. And in 2023, there was 107,543 approximated.
And do you realize
That was 1 year?
100? Yeah, wait.
2023.
How many
in America.
How many people you think that 107 people affected?
Triple. I mean,
More than
quadruple. I mean, in a family like ours.
Just look at the
you know,
loss of Thomas. How many people?
We have such a big family. I mean, well over
but
200
there's
people.
kids in the street that come up to me and tell me, I knew Thomas. Thomas always tried to help. Thomas always did the right thing.
Yeah.
I didn't never realize the relationship my own son had with God.
I remember him wearing
Because
that
he
chain.
definitely...
That's funny. Show the camera.
This is it.
I remember him wearing that in your pool in your backyard in Staten Island. That's funny.
And
That's crazy.
Basically, this is all, one of the only things that I got that means something to me for him.
Yeah.
He had another cross, but that disappeared. I don't know.
That's special that you have that, you know.
But this is for me to do what I'm doing. This is my strength because it belonged to him.
Do you feel like after Thomas's passing, people were there for you as they should have been, the people that were around you?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Nobody.
Really?
CJ, you know what the problem is? You know what everybody tells me? I got a kid that works for me.
Okay.
I've been going through a divorce for 3 years, right? He meets a guy 2 months ago that's going through a divorce for 1 month. He's sitting there telling me how he feels sorry for the guy. I told him, you little son of a bitch. You're with me for 2 years. Well, you're strong, he says. Oh, I'm strong, huh? And that's what people think about me. I met a girl.
You let off that aura forever, though, Steve. A strong man. You do have the aura to you.
I have to be strong.
In a good way.
If I wasn't strong for everybody else, whether they notice it or not, that I kind of helped keep everybody together for a long time.
You did. Backyard parties and
correct.
You
I went
tried
out of
your
my
best.
way
The lake
all
house.
the time.
You did. And we're grateful for that. I know the Daltons are,
No,
for sure.
I'm not looking. I did it because I wanted to do
Yeah.
it, not for any other reason. I'm not looking. But I did it because after my mom passed away, the only thing to do was to try to keep us all together was do that.
Yeah.
There was so many of us that I didn't have time. I didn't have a lot of friends. I had a lot of people I knew. I know lots of people. Lots of people know me. But real friends, I didn't have that many because I spent all my time with my family and my kids because I worked 6 days a week. So that one day was for them, nobody else. And when I had time off, I didn't go do things for myself. I did it for my children. And my children reflect that. Both my other 3 kids are good kids.
Yeah, they are. I actually spoke to Jamie Lynn today. Just picked her brain about what we're going to do here today. I believe in what you're going to do. I believe that it does have some divine purpose to your goals as far as what's going to happen.
Thomas is going to help me.
He is. He is.
And you helped me, and she helped me, your sister, by telling me this because I've been procrastinating. I want to do it. I want to do it.
It's emotional to relive it all. It's tough.
But if I don't do it, I'm not going to help nobody. And you know what they told me? You're helping people already. Who's listening to me? I said, there ain't nobody listening to me. Don't tell me I'm helping everybody. 2 weeks later, I get a letter in the mail from a guy that I don't know who he is. And he said, I listened to everything you said. And all he wanted me to ask me if that I had God on my side. That's all he wanted to know. But he said, everything you said is true. I listened to, I stopped doing what I was doing. I listened to your conversation, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So when they told me people listen, they listen. They do listen. And they told me you help people. You don't even realize it.
So many people look towards online for inspirational clips. I'm sure you do that as well, and something might hit home for you. I had a guy on my 4th episode, I believe, and we talked about men's mental health. And I got some really nice messages from people that I would never even expect. That to me is worth $1 million. So if you could start this and help out one person, make a difference in one person's day, one person's life. Obviously, that's not the goal as a whole, but that's important too.
You know what they told me? One person at a time.
Exactly.
If you go out there thinking you're going to help 1 million people, that's not going to happen.
No, you got to build it.
Takes time.
You got to build it.
But Thomas did tell me, be careful what you wish for. Because this is going to take off faster than you ever imagined. Because I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
He told me he's there. You always hear things about your soul, right? Your soul this, your soul was here before you. They told me I'm an old soul. I'm done. I'm going to heaven. Thomas is going to greet me on my way there. Matter of fact, he's going to greet everybody because that's what he told me he does. So I'm not afraid of dying no more because I'm not going to die. I'm just going to be with my son again.
Yeah.
So that went out the window for me. Not afraid to die. It doesn't bother me. When God, I thought, well, why didn't you take me? Why'd you take him? And then Thomas said, mine and his soul chose this. So I tell my idiot soul chose for me to watch my son die. But he said, yeah, Dad. Everybody in this world there's a purpose. It's a learning lesson.
It is.
And he says, you've been here before. You know it because you think it. You say it. So you feel like you've been here before. We're going to tell you you've been here. And he says, you're a selfless human being because you had everything already. That's why. You don't look for nothing because you had it all. Your soul had that. That's not why you're here now. You're here for a different purpose. So there is, I'm hoping this is my purpose, that I could get a word out there.
Do you feel more fulfilled now? Like you said, you
absolutely, because it changed my kids, the way they think.
Jamie Lynn is very close to God. The last time I had spoken to her, she's very faithful.
No, they all are now.
I haven't seen Nicholas and Ashley
because
in a bit.
they see their father.
Yeah.
And if they could see their father, I guess they watch me suffer.
Yeah.
And for me, I didn't give up. I stayed strong for them and for myself. And that's what they see. And that's what other people say. Oh, you're a strong guy. I'm not that strong. I have feelings, and people try to tell you, this time of year is a bad time of year. I said, let me tell you something. Don't say that to nobody. I'm not mad that you said that, but I'm going to tell you there's not a day in 365 days that is a good day or a bad day. It's not good at all. You wake up, I go to sleep thinking about Thomas, and I wake up thinking about Thomas. And I pray in the middle of the night that he comes to me. Because he came to it. I'm going to tell you something crazy. I got a guy that used to work for me. Now he works on his own. He's a stair builder. He had an alcohol problem. The man was yellow. I don't know how he survived. He calls me up one morning and tells me, I need to tell you something. I said, what do you want? What do you got to tell me? He said that My wife, I live in the basement now because I'm an alcoholic. I says, oh, what does this have to do with me? Like, what are you telling me? He said, I woke up this morning and I looked out the window and there was Thomas. And Thomas told me, Victor, everything's going to be okay. And do you know in the end that he was clean? He didn't damage any part of his body from that. And I'm telling you, you could ask anybody else that's seen him. His eyes were yellow. His body was so weak. Even the doctor said, oh, I got the wrong papers. This can't be you. And it was him. So Thomas helped him. He made a mass for Thomas. I mean, he was overwhelmed by it. So how can I not believe what he said, that Thomas showed up at his window and told him that everything's going to be all right?
It's a beautiful thing,
It's incredible.
It is.
But I want him to come to my window. Just so you know.
Yeah.
I ask for that every day since he told me that.
Well, you're going to live the rest of your life feeling him present, and he's never gone.
No, he's always here.
He is always here, and the family's always talking about him in a positive way, and we're doing things like this, is that the name is alive. We feel him here with us today, and that's important. He might not be here physical, but like I said, his legacy.
He's here. He's here. I know he's here.
I hope so.
No, he's here.
I hope.
He doesn't leave.
I remember I said the story,
He
but
told me.
I was sick. I was in the hospital. I was on my deathbed, and I woke up, and then he was just right there. Thomas, and nobody else came to see me. He was the only fucking one. And
that's how he was.
And he just hung out with me, for 3 hours.
I had to have
just chopping it
100
up.
kids tell me about Thomas.
He was a genuine soul. I have so many pictures of him at the house, of him holding me as a baby. He, which is special to me. And every year I make sure that, it's right there. I keep it on, the fridge throughout the year, the prayer card and the picture. But I make sure right center in the right center of my Christmas tree, I keep that picture. It's special to me. I don't know. He
touched a lot of people. He was a good kid.
Maddie too. Uncle Matt.
He's with Maddie. They're together.
Uncle Maddie too.
Maddie comes. He comes to tell me things.
If any family's going to be touched spiritually, it's going to be us. It goes back generations. We have hundreds and hundreds of people. We all hung out in the same house, growing up, and we are tight, as a close knit family, which is important.
For amount of people, yeah.
Pretty good.
There's 100 and something immediate family, and
it's pretty impressive.
Kind of everybody still talks to each other, so yeah, that's not bad.
It's nice on Christmas.
I mean, one or two off the walls, but
yeah, that's normal.
When when I tell people how many family members I have just living in Staten Island, I always get the same reaction, and it's kind of like,
it's a lot.
What do you mean? Like, how do you have that many family members? And I say, well, my grandma's one of 15, and they say, oh. And a lot of the times they say, Italian, aren't you?
Yeah. My best memories were at your house, Lauren, Mark's, when we used to just hang out in the basement as kids, and the adults would be upstairs hanging out. And
right, we did that almost every weekend.
We did that almost every weekend. You always had the backyard parties. Maddie always had the backyard parties. Lauren, Mark would always do Christmas. Now Alex and Joe had took it over. So it's it's nice to have everybody in that space, because you got to keep tradition alive. What's the point of having family if we're not going to be close with each other?
If you don't get together.
Yeah, there was like a 2-3 year span.
It's not that you got to get together all the time, but it's nice to get together once in a while. Nobody tells me nothing. I just tell you that.
Yeah.
I got this facade, like they don't think I got emotions, or they don't tell me things. Nobody tells me. I find out like weeks later.
You got that Giuseppe Masseria face, you know what I mean?
Don't laugh, because he showed up.
Giuseppe?
And that I can't believe the most. And they told me when I'm not feeling right that I'm supposed to talk to him.
The boss of the family.
Anybody could get to that side. My main objective here is Thomas tells me when you pray for him, because he's the one that helps. You're going to help somebody. Just mention his name, Thomas. I pray. Say a little prayer. You don't even have to say a long prayer. God, thank you. Please help Thomas and what he's doing. That's it. Because that's going to help him. Because that's what helps.
Do you see these mediums often? Or when was the last time you
No,
seen?
I don't go no more.
No?
Thomas told me I can't go no more.
Well, I feel like
Thomas told me that, well, the medium told me that Thomas said, you can't come and see me no more, because you have the ability to do this yourself. You just won't let yourself do it. There's going to come a time where there's going to come a time that Thomas is going to be right in front of me again. But when he thinks I'm ready for it, not when I think I'm ready for it, because I'm ready every day.
Yeah.
Every day I wake up, why can't you come now? What are you doing? And I'm not lying to you. Maybe 2-3 times a day. Last night I cried, Daddy, come. Do something.
Yeah.
Let me know that you're here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like a lot of parents have that. You know, the loss, they're not here in the physical. And I think it's important that we try to figure out a way to get in touch with them. These people
and
out
you know
there.
what?
They have the Al-Anon meetings, but I feel like that's not good enough. There needs to be a
They
forum.
wanted me to go there. I'm not going to go there to talk to some parent that some drunk driver ran their 5-year-old kid over. Yeah, I can't deal with that.
Yeah.
That's not, though. I don't think those group things are where it's at. I think that you need some people to talk to, but in that larger group, I don't see how you get any comfort out of that. Talking about all these different types of deaths, and that's hard. That's hard to go to a group. For me, it's hard. I'd be so emotional. I don't think I could stand there and listening to 20 different parents telling, how they lost their child, or, it's not, Thomas wasn't a child, but he was my child.
Yeah.
He was a grown man. But that's a tough thing. That's just so tough to lose a young child, and
Yeah. It's unimaginable.
family split up from it.
Yeah.
From heartache. They blame each other. They don't go to reach out to nobody. I'm telling you, I never in a million years thought I would go to a medium. I never even thought about it. I'm telling you that the first day I went there, the guy told me last week, you went over to the car dealership. Thomas said he was in the car with you. What? This is the first thing they told me. I ran home and asked my wife, who'd you tell that we went to go look for that car? She said, I didn't tell nobody. I said, holy shit. I can't believe that what this guy's telling me. He told me about the lights. He told me about that. And he told me when I was out trying to do everything I was doing, he told me, you're wasting your time. I built 2 houses in Tottenville. The people next door were really nice people. The woman comes to me one day, says, I have to talk to you. I said, Oh, the husband says, my wife wants to talk to you. All right. She says, I was talking to your son. I'm like, what? She says, I'm not a medium, but I have the ability to do this. And I'm like, so tell me why that you opened up. If you don't let it in, why'd you open up? Because you're a good guy. I said, how do you know I'm a good guy? Because Thomas told me you're a good guy. And that week, Lauren had found some things that Thomas had made as a kid. He made a little chalkboard with a dinosaur on it and his name, and he made a stop sign. And I made an altar for my son because he told me that's what people do. You take all the stuff, you put it someplace, and that's where you and him can make that connection. So when she told me this, she told me, oh, Thomas said that the two things that you found to put them on the altar. I'm like, what? How did you know that? So Thomas knew it, told her, and told me to take those 2. He called it plaques. He said, put the 2 plaques. The only 2 things that came up that week was those 2 things that Lauren found when she was looking for things new and old for when Ashley was going to get married. And she pulled those out. And Thomas told me to put them on the altar.
It's pretty crazy that God delivered you a grandson, after all this. Do you feel
and they told me that.
That was
They
special.
told me, your youngest daughter is going to bring you your first grandchild. Okay. Your other daughter's going to have 2 children. Okay. But not 7 months later. He met Thomas, my grandson. Thomas sent them here for me. I believe that wholeheartedly. Whether they thought that I needed them or whatever, or we needed them, because we did need them.
Yeah.
Even my kids, I know they suffer. It's hard.
Was it special having him around? Do you feel like the mood maybe elevated a little bit since he was born?
Yes.
Doesn't-
Definitely raises everything. It changes you.
Yeah.
And I needed that. That's why Thomas sent them.
Why do you feel like you were on a path towards maybe depression or like
Wasn't happy. I don't know where I was going. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And then all these other things, it's overwhelming. It's hard to talk to people because it's something that you really, truly don't understand completely. And some people you talk to and they look at you like you're crazy. It's on, what are you talking about? So unless you could accept it on your own, it's very hard to understand.
Well, I feel like we lost the idea of spirituality and believing in God and spirits in this country because of everything that's going
Correct.
on.
And my job is to say, look at me.
Yeah.
I'm a regular guy. And I'm telling you there is a God. And that if you do the right thing, you'll get to go with him.
Yeah.
You want to make that choice on your own, you could do it. But I'm telling you up front that that's real. Because I don't make up stories. I can't even make this stuff up, what they told me. So I know it's real. There's no way that this person told me these things could make it up. There's some other stuff they told me, but I want to save a little bit of stuff because I'm going to write a book. And really what the book is going to do, if people buy the book, I'm going to take the money and recycle it into trying to help people. I don't need no money. God gave me enough. I don't need any more. I'm not greedy. I need enough for my family and myself. I want to help other people that could use the help. It's hard, bro.
To
You
get
lose
something
your kid
started.
and you wake up
Oh, yeah.
every day. Some people can't even function.
I know.
You know,
2016, right?
Yeah.
That's when Thomas went.
it'll be 8 years this September 8th. And if you asked me what I wanted September 7th, I could have told you a million things. You asked me September 9th, 0. There's nothing. I don't understand it. I got other kids. I got everything. But it takes something from you that you can't really understand it. I don't understand it. Like, why would I want to give up?
You can't. It's
No,
not
but-
your purpose. It's just not.
It's hard.
It is hard, but you're here for a reason. You're doing these things for a reason.
That's why Thomas brought me in.
Like you showed up here. This is incredible what you're doing here. This is brave. No, nobody could just sit in front of a microphone and talk about this shit.
It ain't easy.
It's not. And if it's doing what
And
you
listen, one of the hardest things is to hold it in.
you have
You
to get
can't
out,
hold
dude.
it in. You got to get it out of you. You can't let it sit in there. I mean, my heart is broken in a million pieces. And I got everything else I need. I got everything. But that all changes. I don't know how to, I just can't explain that part of it. I got no wants anymore. Just let me make my children happy and try to help somebody else, because that's what's going to help me now.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's going to help me. If I could help somebody by doing what I'm doing and they recognize and change their mind about what they really believe, and they have to understand God didn't do these things. Human beings did. I don't got no disrespect for God because Thomas is with him, because he didn't put the fentanyl in the drugs. Some human drug dealer, greedy bastard, put it in there and killed 14 kids in the same week.
There was that year was huge.
It was one of the biggest years.
Huge for fentanyl and
Tens of
heroin.
millions that are suffering from this.
Yeah, and I want to know the
Thomas
fucking point of
Passing
fentanyl.
suffers. Look, there's 120 of us. We all suffer in some sort of way that he was taken in that way.
What is the point of fentanyl? I don't understand. It's the most powerful opioid on the planet.
What do we need it for?
What do you really need? Do you genuinely need
Wait,
fentanyl?
why would they make opioid is a synthetic heroin? Heroin been around for 400 years. They know what it does. Why would you put it in drugs? You knew that people, the owners of those companies are denying they didn't know. You
fucking what a
hired
crock of
chemists.
shit.
You hired all these people that make this stuff. You know what it's going to do. But the government was behind it. Let's get them all drugged up and we'll control them. Because look what they're trying to do to us now. Government is about trying to take control of us right now. And most people are not aware of that.
Well, look what they did in the 80s with the crack epidemic. I mean, it's similar to that, too. They flooded the neighborhoods with crack to I think it was to get the main drug dealers, like, out and about to try to arrest them.
Do you
or
know they
whatever.
put fentanyl, they let certain drug dealers sell fentanyl because they can't control it. Do you know that?
It's all over
And
the
I'm
place.
telling you, it comes from a place that I don't want to down it. But legally, these guys are allowed to sell it to these kids because if the kids don't have it, they're not going to survive. And our government and our city and our things let it happen because they can't, it's out of control. They can't control it. That's how bad it is.
You're going to tell
Listen,
me
I
that the
had
United
a
States...
double knee surgery.
The United States doesn't have the ability to sweep the nation in one shot and just get this shit off the street. I feel like we have the tools to do so. They never will, but we can.
There's too many greedy people.
Yeah.
Government's full of greed. Why do they want to sweep that out? They're getting a cut. The mentality, the way people think, it's not going to happen to me. So why not take the money? It's not going to happen to me. It's going to happen to those other people. They're not in government like me. They don't think their kids or their family is ever going to get affected. That's the way they think.
Human beings are fucking disgusting. And I know.
There's-
It's disgusting.
No,
The majority of human beings, that operate
Into
like this.
today's society,
It's crazy.
the numbers aren't good.
No, it's getting worse.
I don't think it's good.
It's getting
That's why I'm
worse.
trying to speak out here. There's so many other things I could be doing, but I'm trying to put my time in so I could help somebody. Nobody helped me. Thomas helped me. My own son helped me. He found me, knew I was going the wrong way. How about my friend's mother-in-law just died about a month ago. The daughter went to a medium. And you know what the medium told her? Steve's son, Thomas. He's a higher authority than all of us. And he watches you, your husband, and your children. What? Why my son? Why not her father that's there? Because the father told, I know the father's there because he came to me in a reading. Right? I know he passed away. Her brother passed away. Why isn't he watching her kids? No, they said Thomas. And they told me that Thomas is that. But I never told nobody because I said, you sound crazy. Oh yeah, your son. But it's true because the girl's mother never met Thomas until she crossed over. And that's what she told the daughter. Steve's son, Thomas. He's watching all of us.
I believe it.
I think that's, to me, why should I give up knowing that? That's what I try to tell people.
shouldn't.
So if you're suffering, maybe your son or your daughter or your brother or your sister or your mother or your father has something that could help you instead of just plain old suffering. And I suffer. I'm not going to say it don't. It didn't go away. It's never going to go away. But it is different. It's a lot different to know that. You know when they say God takes the good young for a reason?
Yeah.
Thomas to me, is a prime example of that. He took them because he needed them. He didn't take them for any other reason. He's there with God because God gave him that's an important job. Also, a friend of mine calls me up one day and he said, something weird happened to me. He said, when I can't sleep at night, in the morning, I listen to this radio station. I said, okay. But he says, no, this morning was different. I said, why was it different? He says, it's because there was a guy on there talking about his son that died. And it was Finding Christopher. So he bought me the book, which is odd. Why'd you buy me this book? But when I read the book, Christopher is no different than Thomas. They're the same kid. And what Christopher told his father, I didn't drown. What are you talking about? I forget the aunt's name. He said, Aunt Sally came and took me across. That was one of the first things I learned, was from this book. And then I went to a medium, and then I went to another medium. I didn't go to that many. I went to 2 or 3 different people.
Mm-hmm.
And then some unexpected people came to me and told me, oh, I talked to your son today. Oh, really? Like that woman. Then that woman sent me to another woman, and she amazed me what she told me.
My grandmother, I think, went to the Magic Moon Sisters, right? And she
She went.
She got a reading, and she said they said some shit. They said some things that she couldn't have predicted. You know, something about a penny that her mother gave to her. You know, that nobody would know about. Sometimes, I don't know.
They said
How
that,
about they tell you you're going to find a dime now, and when you find a dime, it's Thomas. You know, I found so many dimes in my whole entire life, and I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. From the day they told me that a dime is a sign from Thomas,
Every minute.
I find dimes all the time. I was I was at my friend's place, right? And I guess I must have had Thomas on my mind. I'm going through a box of nuts and bolts. You know what was on the bottom of that thing? A dime. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Like, how did this is, nobody dropped a dime in his box. Whatever. It just seemed very odd, but the dime was there. Thomas was telling me, I'm still here. I'm not going nowhere.
Good. That should make you feel good. You shouldn't suffer knowing that he's here. You shouldn't feel bad about it. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, but he's there, I'm here. You got to remember, you're still human.
Well, not forever.
Pain,
You know,
type of pain is hard to get rid of, man.
I can only imagine.
I don't wish this on anybody. Even if I hate you,
Yeah.
I wouldn't wish this on you. I really wouldn't. It's, for me anyway, I don't know. Maybe some people could get past it. And
I don't think
can't.
so. I don't think so. I don't think you truly get past it. You just find different avenues to get accustomed to it, because we are living a life, and what you can't.
But if you were raised to believe in the Bible tells you there's another life after this one.
Yeah.
We're in the third dimension. They're in the fourth dimension.
That's a great way to live, though. Why would you want to imagine yourself dying and then not going anywhere? That's awful. Then we just live.
Well,
that
that's
whole
what
life.
I said.
Because life is suffering to an extent. You do find your good times, but it's majority of struggle.
This life is tough on everybody.
I
Listen
see
to
it.
me. I'm going to tell you something. It may sound stupid to you, but I haven't been sick for 2 years. I got sick yesterday. My throat's bothering me. I got a head cold. I had headaches. The devil was trying to stop me from coming here today. That's how I look at that. Why all of a sudden I feel like this? All of a sudden, I was fine. Then all of a sudden I'm coming to do this. And Tom, you know what Thomas told me? They're right there.
Yeah.
The evil ones are right there for you. And you always said, Dad, you always said you weaved and bobbed. Keep weaving and keep bobbing, because it's not that easy out there. So the devil exists just like God does. I believe that.
100%. It's more prevalent now than ever.
If you ask me, the scale tipped. And it was human beings' fault. It wasn't the devil didn't make this happen. Well, maybe it did. I don't know how that works. But the tables aren't the same anymore.
No.
And we need to bring that back.
Oh, it's home values. We brought this up before. Nobody fears God anymore. They fear
Definitely not.
They fear the government, and that's why home values are.
Do you know they wrote 137 years ago, when the government no longer fears the people, it's time to change. They wrote this in there when they wrote this thing.
We're too divided. We're too divided.
But they
as
knew
people.
this was going to happen.
Of course they did.
They knew it eventually.
It's classic. It's been going on since every civilization, since
But
the
if you
Roman
t- let
times,
me
and
ask you a
divide and
question.
conquer.
Obama came in with no money.
Yeah.
He's worth $271 million. What the hell else?
Nancy Pelosi is worth.
Go away.
It's a ridiculous
Do
amount.
you know there was 8 young kids that bought only stock that Nancy Pelosi's husband bought, and they're millionaires, all of them? They followed his portfolio.
Well, they
Whatever
passed
he
these bills.
bought, they bought. Well, they had inside information.
They passed the bills that allow them to do this. They make the laws.
And these kids from Harvard followed him and became millionaires, all of them, all 8 of them.
Yeah.
Anything he bought, they bought.
Yeah. Smart. It's smart. It's corrupt. It's unfortunate.
It's not fair.
Well, human beings need to get together, and I say it on the show all the time, and then make a difference
You know
together.
why? Middle class people are too busy. They got to work, and work.
Yeah.
They don't have time for these other things. They don't have time for all this stuff. The government made it. You got to pay taxes. You got to go to work all the time.
That's why I wanted to start
Now,
this.
how
to
do you
kinda
go?
break out.
How do you get a paycheck? Right? They take 38% of your checks. So you pay taxes on that money.
Yeah.
Bullshit. It ain't done there. Go to the store, buy groceries, $20 worth of tax. So now that money got taxed for another $20. Okay. Now we'll go buy gas in the car. There's another $3 worth of tax. They're taxing us on top of taxing us on top of taxing us. They're making it so hard to survive that you got to have two working parents, and one of them has to have two jobs almost, because there's not enough big money jobs out there for people.
It's
Things are
ruining
expensive.
relationships from a male and female perspective, and that's like kind of, unless you're a rich man, you can't afford to support your wife anymore. Your wife has to go to work.
I think that a woman, if she wants to have a family, that she has a right to stay home to raise that family, because she's going to take care of her kids better than anybody else.
Of course.
And the husband, unfortunately, if you want to have children, go get two jobs. I did it. I didn't make my wife go to work until the kids were older. I didn't have strangers watching my children? Then I shouldn't have them.
That's
So
true.
I didn't care about, and I like going to work, so I'm different.
No, me too. It's just like the numbers.
You know,
I'm putting them
construction's
together.
different because you accomplish something.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
build something. You sit back and say, look at what we did. You know, so you get something out of that.
Are you still in the industry?
Yes.
Nice. What projects? Anything worth noting?
I'm doing a lot of masonry work. That's all I do. I'm really like, I call myself the backyard king, because you're not going to get, the last house I did looks like a resort, the backyard.
Nice.
I know a lot. If you talk to anybody in construction out here, they know me, because I'm good at what I do. I like what I do. If they have a problem and they can't fix it, they call me. Oh, Steve could fix it. Let's call him. I know he knows. And most of the time I come up with solutions. I was building a Burger King on Page Avenue. I come into the job and everybody's in a panic. What's the matter? Oh, they screwed up. They screwed this up. All right, tell me what it is that you screwed up. They told me. Less than 5 minutes, I fixed the problem. 5 minutes. And I'm talking guys that have higher educations than me, engineers, they couldn't figure it out. And they were like, where'd this guy come from? He just figured it out in 3 minutes. And we were all panicking here for 2 hours until he came. So sometimes, not that you're smarter than anybody else, sometimes you see the different route to go. I like construction. I enjoy it. I enjoy having guys work for me. That gives me my peace of mind too. I don't rip people off. I get enough to pay everybody and make some money and have. To me, it's entertaining.
When I go visit you in PA, we always do something construction related.
Oh, forget it. There's a million things to do there.
Demolition. You're like, yo, Siege, come help me tear down this tree. I'm like,
I got a few
I'm like,
things
we go on
to
the
do
boat,
there.
Steve? What the fuck?
Yeah, right, exactly. But politics is totally different, and you don't want to mix the two, because it's not good. What we want to do has nothing to do with politics. Politics is a whole different game. But
the
unfortunately,
situation
we
is,
have
it
to
is what
pay
it is.
attention to it.
Yeah, we're not going to change how the world works, unfortunately.
definitely
That we're not powerful enough for that, but we can reach out to certain
Yeah, but
people.
you could change people.
Absolutely.
People change.
Well, you have to get their ear, and it's all through social media.
Well,
and
that's
it's,
why
even with
we're
this
here.
podcast, how it's going to get big is through social media. People buy into this. People buy into the show. They buy into the message, whatever we're doing by week.
I'm hoping that there's somebody that feels the way I feel.
Of course
That's
there
going
is.
to come and
Of course
help
there is.
me.
Of course there is.
I can't do this by myself.
As soon as I put this up on my pages, somebody's going to reach out. Immediately. It
I
happens all
need
the time.
people to come and say, come on, Steve, I want to help you do what you. I had a bunch of people that, when I first started thinking about it, I had people, believe it or not, I probably had 30 different people that wanted me to do what I was going to do so they could do it. And most of them wanted to do it because they needed to help themselves.
You just have to find a way where everybody can connect and speak, and where that's going to
Well, that's easy now.
where that's going to be. Is it going to be a forum? Because that's easy to make.
You could call one number and it could reach out to 50 people.
Like a better help program, maybe.
Well, I was thinking, here's an example. You have people out there that can't sleep at night, right? They got nothing to do. They sit around the house. Why don't you help me? I want to make a hotline that somebody has a problem at 2 o'clock in the morning. They could call this number, and it goes to you because you're up.
Yeah.
And you're not sleeping, and you talk to that person. Maybe you could save that person's life. at 2:00 in the morning.
Sure.
That's the things that I want to do. I want to help the guy that can't sleep, and at the same time because when you help somebody else, your problems usually get better. When you reach out and you feel that you help somebody, you feel better about yourself. There's no doubt about it. And when they told me I was helping people, what do you mean? You help everybody that works for you. They have a job. They rely on you. The simple things. I was going to the doctor, right? And there was a girl behind the counter. Her name was Liz. And Liz lost her mother when she was a young kid. But the whole time I was there, Liz never smiled. So I used to talk to the nurses and tell them I lost my son. We're up. I told them, so they told me Liz lost her mother. So I went over to her. It was when I first went. I said, can you do me a favor? And I'll pay for it. I want you to go to a medium because I don't understand what they're telling me. And maybe you lost your mom. So she goes.
Yeah.
Now, the weirdest thing for me, she had a tattoo of Cher on her arm, but she never showed the medium. She said, Steve, I went in there, I had long sleeves down to my hands, turtleneck. I didn't want the guy to see anything. You know what the medium did when she first went in the room? He started singing a Cher song to her. I said, well, what does that mean? She said, every morning when my mom took me to school, we sang that song together. See, could you imagine how overwhelmed that girl must have been knowing that her mom is there? And Bernard, the guy's name was Bernard. Bernard sang this song to her. The artist guy in the world. You would never even think. But he sang that song to her.
That's beautiful. These are great stories to share.
The third time I went there, she told me, don't you go nowhere. You know what she said to me?
What's that?
You're the artist guy I ever met in my life, but I love you. I cried. I ran out of that office crying because I knew I helped her. She told me she loved me because I gave her some peace by telling her to go do what I did. And she found peace in that. And she was happy again. It doesn't take much. Dude, I could just tell you some of the things they told me. I don't know where. I can't believe it. Like, how do you notice stuff?
So, let's just give a times table on this, your 2-year plan for what your goals are as far as this foundation, this forum, this community of people that had lost their children, that they could get together.
I got to find a way. I want to do this right away.
Okay.
I've been wanting to do it, and I'm not going to waste no more time. I could do this.
You can.
And I'm not afraid to do it, but I can't do it by myself. I know there's people out there that feel the same way I did and experience. I can't be the only one. Maybe my experience, because they tell me Thomas is a little higher in authority with God. God had a special place for him. I don't know what it means, but that's what they told me. And the woman told me, she said it straight out to her daughter. Oh, no, Thomas is up here. We're down here. So the main thing is really, I would like to be able to reach out, to have a way for people to reach out to me if they really need it, and then start trying to make some type of facilities to start with that people could go to or contact, or just a place to call, man. There's nothing anymore out there.
No, and I feel like
there's no place you could call where you're going to get sincere people to help you. I
feel like this is a perfect place to start it up.
So what's his name? Tony,
and
and Tony's spiritual, so that helps me.
Yeah,
but this is all good for me.
It is, and I feel like
I couldn't say it was any. For me, it was good because the hardest thing for me is to find somebody that actually believes in the same things I do. So if you got a guy that's doing this, that believes in it, it's just going to make it stronger.
Well, we do. That's why you're here today, and I got to say, man, you're very brave for what you just did today. This is a lot. We're proud of you, if that means anything.
Sure does.
And
I know all the kids look up to me.
They do, and I think everybody's going to be happy to hear this and see it, and it's going to be emotional. But I think what we did here today was special, and I'm proud to call you my uncle and have you here today. So thank you for
Definitely.
everything.
That was awesome.
I appreciate it. Guys, wrapping up episode 7 of Intentionally Unintelligent, Guiding Hands in Memory of Thomas Masseria. Make sure to like, subscribe on all platforms. This episode will be releasing in late September. And that's a wrap.
Thanks for tuning in to Intentionally Unintelligent. We hope you enjoyed our dive into the unfiltered and raw stories of today's movers and shakers. If you loved what you heard, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, keep it real, keep it raw, and stay intentionally unintelligent.